Je ne sais quoi, we're living large, and we got a lot. What they call a certain je ne sais quoi, we're living large. Living large. 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 Hey everybody, as you're rolling in, come on in and get comfortable. Grab the popcorn, grab a beer, grab some wine, maybe a glass of water, a cup of coffee, depending on where you're at, what time of day it is. Jump on in here and come live large with us today. We're going to get the show started here in just a brief moment, and we'll see how we get going. So come on in, let us know where you're watching from, and just so you all know, as you come in here, we're going to go ahead and drop down the old screens, and I'll bring you up here. We'll talk to you a little bit. So, all right, everybody. So here's some intro stuff before we bring on our guest tonight. So you're watching Live Large Universe. This is a show where we talk all about living life to the fullest, making the most of every day and making a difference to others. And we do that through power sports and all of the amazing things we do to get out there and live our best lives. And so come on in, share this out. So whether you're watching it live, you can share it out here. You can grab the link later and share it out to your social media pages. And if you get in the comments and let us know what's going on, confirm for us that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. We have the Live Large Universe YouTube channel that you're watching this at right here, right now. Get in here and subscribe. And if you just drop it in the comments, whether you're where you're watching from, that you've subscribed, whatever it is, let me know you're here in the comments. I'm grateful for that. And guess what? By doing that, you're going to get entered to win a pair of snow zone goggles, some zone snow goggles from Fly Racing. So Fly Racing is the sponsor of tonight's episode, and whether you're rocking some gear for dirt biking, for jeeping, for snowmobiling, whatever it is, Fly Racing is going to get you taken care of. So again, come on in here, let us know where you're watching from, and confirm for us that you're subscribed. Drop it in the comments and let us know what's going on there, and we're going to bring you in here in just a minute. So let me drop my image here, and Chris, you can come off mute, and we're going to talk to you here in just a second. How's it going, my friend?
Good. How are you tonight?
Good, good. So this is episode number 2 of Live Large Universe. And man, we're trying to mix it up here a little bit. We did side-by-sides a couple of weeks ago. Tonight we're talking to you about Jeeps and off-roading. In a couple of weeks here, we're going to get to talk to Ross Robinson, our newest Lynx snowmobile ambassador. And he's into mountain biking and snowmobiling. So we're mixing it up. But one thing we all have in common is this desire to make the most of our lives and to, through power sports, just get out and live our best lives and live life to the fullest. And of course, live large. Awesome.
Definitely.
Awesome.
So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome. Thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it. And so, for anybody, a lot of people here watching are people who are in your network and your connection. We're grateful for that. Mm-hmm. Come on in here, have them subscribe to the channel as well, and let them share this out all over the interweb and get the word out there about everything. But let's talk a little bit about how you and I got to know each other. And it's basically through snowmobiling. So for those who follow me all the time, they're aware. Those who maybe are seeing this first time, my primary sport that I've been doing for years is snowmobiling, and I've run into Chris through mutual friends and through events like Heydays. And Chris has been in the past the president of the Iowa Snowmobile Association. You're currently on the board of directors as the director at large.
Director at large, yeah,
of the
American Council of Snowmobile.
Yep, exactly. And so a busy guy who gives a lot of his time and effort, whether it be the motorized community with snowmobiling and or the Jeep community. I know you've been in the past members of Jeep clubs and volunteered time to get out there and help make sure that all of our sports are something that we can all get out and enjoy. And that's a big part of living large, is that community service and making a difference in other people's lives. So.
And here in Iowa, that's the only way we get to go out with Jeeps is through clubs and working with landowners. So that's takes a lot of time to harvest those and nurture those relationships. But then we still like to go, out west and come out there for sleds and Jeeps and enjoy the public land too.
Nope, that's awesome. And so tonight we're talking specifically about Jeeps, and people joke with me about like, "Hey, how long have you been snowmobiling?" And I'm always like, I was conceived on a snowmobile," is the standard joke I tell everybody. And I have a feeling that's kind of the same thing for you with Jeeping and off-roading and just off-roading in
A-
general is a
Actually,
lifetime.
I've probably been on snowmobiles a little bit longer, but
Okay.
the both are hand in hand for all my life.
That's awesome. And so
So,
yeah, a lifetime of off-roading, whether it be with your dad in the back in the day,
yep,
through friends, growing up with it, and then about 25 years worth of just building your own off-road vehicles a little
yeah.
bit. So
So,
do you go way back? What was the first off-road vehicle that you ever built? Do you remember?
oh, first off-road vehicles that I was actually building were probably three wheelers.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
four wheelers in high school, and then of course had a big lifted Chevy truck in high school, and and that was the first real automotive off-road truck. Was my Had a short box Chevy, and and it started out and kept building it up and learning things on it.
Yeah.
Um, and then we had some scouts for snow plowing and that, and then
Ver-
Jeeps really started probably right after college.
Okay.
Um, got one. Actually, my dad bought one that needed a motor. We bought another one that had a good motor. And he's like, "So what are you gonna do the rest of it?" And he says, "Do what you want with it." So
Very
I
cool.
started building my first, you know, throwing different axles under it and learning all that stuff. And
Very
I
cool.
think I'm probably up to 6 or 8 that I've personally built of Jeeps, not counting
Okay.
all the other trucks or helping buddies.
Very nice, very nice. And then at some point, give or take about 6 years ago, you got pulled into this as a full-time profession. You're now the general manager at
Yeah.
Complete Off-Road over
So,
in Dubuque, Iowa. So
yep.
I've seen pictures of the shop. I follow it on Facebook, and it looks like an amazing place. And we'll just remind everybody that you're not in that shop. You're at your home shop right now.
Nope, I'm at the home shop tonight. So,
Yep,
but
yep.
yeah, about 6 years ago, the owner Rich Conlon, I sent him a blind resume. I was just
Okay.
looking for a change. I was working for Toyota Financial at the time doing warranty claims, and was tired sitting in front of a computer all day. I said I want to do something more fun. Shot him a blind email, and he said, "Yeah, why don't you stop over?" Stopped over, talked a little bit, and he called back about a week later. I was sitting on pins and needles. Is he going to call or not? And he called back. He says, "Yeah, let's do something." And
Very
it's
good.
been a whirlwind adventure. Lots of opportunities open up. Got to go to SEMA.
Yeah,
The especially for the aftermarket, meet a bunch of people. Four-wheel drive world. One of the big names you always hear is Fred Williams. Got to
yeah.
meet him a couple times. Some of the heroes that I grew up reading their articles in magazines. The jobs now I get to talk to them. I get to work with them on projects. Um, it's been an awesome. And everybody says, "How long are you gonna do it?" I said, "Until he kicks me out the door." So
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things where, I think everybody, regardless of what sport you're in, even non-motorized sports, is if you can figure out how to make a career out of your hobby and your passion and love what you do, it's hardly like work anymore, right? Like you'd be building
well,
Jeeps and doing things like that every day anyway, and now you get to go to work every day and get paid
yeah.
for it, right? So,
There's days that are stressful. You're trying, especially with the current environment we're in, trying to get parts in and that.
oh yeah.
There's parts of it that are stressful, but there's cool parts of it that balance it out. Definitely,
Yeah.
that make it worth going.
Yeah. Well, Chris, here's what I am the most excited about for tonight. And this is the part where the entire reason I took off and kind of deviated from my old show that was exclusively about snowmobiling
Hmm.
and education safety was this idea of, you know what? I got into Jeeping, or off-roading, specifically about a Jeep. I bought a new 2020 Wrangler Rubicon
Yep.
back in October of 2020. And it's just about, what, 10 months now I've been off-roading.
Yeah.
And man, what a difference from the snowmobile world where I had, like you in this situation, have so much
Yep.
experience that I was always the quote unquote the professor, and sharing my information and my education and kind of helping others and being kind of that subject matter expert and just constantly supporting each other. And then I got into this new role where it's like, I've got, Jeep now, and I also picked up a dirt bike over
Mhm.
the summer, and
Yep.
I'm finding that like now, like just like the old Karate Kid, like I am now the student, as they say, and
So,
here I am
well,
now with a new tool that you endearingly call a starter kit, and we're gonna get into
it
that in
is a
just a
starter
minute.
kit.
We're
Yep.
gonna get into that in just a minute, but I am so excited to be able to have a good close friend like yourself to be able to come on, teach me, and ultimately teach everybody else the things that we need to know about getting into off-roading and what the evolution looks like. And, do I need to break out the checkbook right now, or should I
Yeah.
wait a little bit? I guess that's the first question I have for you.
you know, you can break out the checkbook anytime you want, but there's a learning process to it. You know, and like you said, you started with the starter kit. And I'm by no means a professor
Yeah, let's
of
clarify
the
clarify
starter
what a
kit.
starter kit is. What is a
Okay,
starter kit?
the starter kit is you bought a Jeep.
Okay.
If you buy a stock Jeep, that's the starter kit. Some people, you know, even you bought a Rubicon, so you bought the high end starter
The
kit. It's
starter
already
kit
got,
plus. We'll call it the starter kit
yeah,
plus.
the plus. We'll call it plus. It's got the, you know, some of the features that other people will work up to. You
Okay.
just got them right away. It makes it easier down the road.
Yep.
So you got the Jeep, and you jumped in both feet. You and Edith went out, and you know, I started seeing pictures when you first got it. I sent you a message, told you congratulations, and if you need anything, let me know.
Absolutely.
And next thing you knew, you were out in the woods. You're following other rigs out. You've been on the sand dunes.
Yeah.
You've hit every aspect of jeeping
Well,
already.
I've done my best to avoid mudding so far. Like I've done a little bit of mudding just on the Jeep trails, but the mudding part is the part that, like, you know, blame it on my father, but as a mechanic, he taught me what mud does to the inside of a vehicle and wheel bearings and all those things. And I'm like, okay, I should at least for once listen to my father and take his advice, right? Maybe once, you know, or maybe
you know,
a bunch of times. So
years ago, I used to mud race.
yeah.
And I'm the same point now. I hate mud. Working on them, cleaning them, it's terrible. It gets in everywhere. Here in the Midwest, we sometimes can't avoid it. You got to go through some mud to get to on the trail or whatever. But
there's always
yeah,
a little
definitely.
bit. Yeah.
And it's fun for a little bit. It's the cleanup afterwards. It's never.
Yeah, let
fun,
me just say
so.
I'm not buying a snorkel kit anytime soon. So I don't want to submerge this thing.
So,
I don't want to submerge this thing. So, but
yeah,
I mean, we talk about. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you know, everybody says snorkel kit. They think mud. We always tell them, you know, the reason that, you know, like Australia, you know, you see lots of stuff coming out of Australia for off-roading. The snorkel kits actually help with dusty air.
Yeah.
So if you're out in a lot of dusty environment, that's run a snorkel. But yeah, don't put them in the water. It messes all kinds of things up, especially on a 2020 like yours.
Oh yeah,
There's
electronics,
all kinds of
electronics like crazy.
in there.
Yeah. All right, so we've established the starter kit, and you know, I think I had about 350 miles on my Jeep before I took it on my first forest road and scratched the crap out of it. Like, I'll just be honest with you. I waited 350. I waited 350 miles before we went out and took it for an off-road adventure and got our first scratches on there. And since then, let's just be honest, there's a lot of scratches on it now. So
they tell a story.
They do. It's
every
like,
one of them tells a story.
It's kind of like a guy like me, you know, these wrinkles around your eyes and around your face, and that, like, it's character. It's character building, right?
Yep.
That's what I call it when I get my Jeep. So starter kit's there, and then phase one. What do you consider phase one for a Jeeper, an off-roader, right? What's phase one look like?
Phase one can be two different things. Depends what you want to do with the Jeep. Phase one, if you have a Jeep, you love taking the top, doors off, driving around, but you're really not going to go off-roading. You're going to hang out. You know, there's a lot of clubs starting that are just get together, go leaf rides or you know, go poker runs like we do, you know, like they do on snowmobiles. They're doing it with Jeeps. You can, phase one for them is a lift kit, tires. Phase one for other people is like you're starting to off-road it. So let's do a bumper and a winch and recovery gear, skid plates.
Yep.
You're going to end up doing both of them at some point if you stay with a Jeep long enough. It's just which one do you want to do first?
Yep.
Both are, you know, kind of instant gratification. It changes the look of the Jeep. And that's what's cool about a Jeep is you can change it and make it look however you want.
It's like Legos. It's like Legos for adults, right?
That's where I was exactly the words I was going to use. They're Legos. You buy the starter kit of Legos, now you're buying the accessories that you snap on and off there. And we have a lot of customers, you know, they'll build it up one way, and then a couple of years later, as their off-roading evolves, you know, I don't want the full width bumper anymore. I want to go to a narrower bumper or a different winch.
Yep.
That's your starter kit, is just the first accessories to make it your own.
Okay.
And make it better for what you want to do with it. I know you added skid plates. awesome upgrade.
Yeah, when you and
It
I
protects the
chatted ahead
bottom
of time,
sides.
you've basically
Yeah.
called where I'm at is kind of this phase 1 stage, right? And I'm
Yeah.
at,
Yep.
a front bumper, a heavy duty front bumper that gives me some grill protection. And it gave me, for my Jeep, a specific place to mount my winch, which is what I wanted. That
Yep.
was number one thing because my Jeep came with the plastic bumpers. I guess with the steel bumpers on the Rubicons, you can get them where you
Yep.
can put a winch in the standard bumper.
Yeah.
But mine didn't have that. So I had to get a new bumper no matter what if I wanted a winch.
Right.
So winch and bumper came right away, which of course added some amazing LED lights, which are amazing for off-roading at night, when you're going
Sure.
out at night, or blinding
Yep.
that jerk in front of you when they cut you off. Just saying. Not that I would ever do that, but if you
Not
were,
that you never
it
do that.
comes
Yeah,
in
right.
handy. It comes in handy. I'm just telling you.
It helps.
All right, all right.
You know.
So, and then skid plate, and it didn't take me very long on my first few runs where I started to bottom out, but I was very gentle with it. I was careful with it. My Rubicon came with some factory skids, but they're
Yep.
pretty kind of lightweight and they get
All
hung up on a
Jeeps
lot
come
of
with
stuff.
skid plates.
Yeah.
It's just they're not always as robust as.
But it made me
need to be
cringe.
for what
Like
you're doing.
every time I
Yeah.
bottomed out on something, I was cringing because I'm like, oh man, am I doing any damage or not? And then I found myself, just like hopefully what everybody else is doing tonight, is like going onto YouTube and searching and finding different tools and mods and things like that, and started following people who are Jeepers on YouTube. And I came across a skid plate that I fell in love with, and I'm like, okay, that one will give me the peace of mind. I ordered it, got it on my Jeep, and now I'm out there. I've literally been high center, dead center, all four wheels spinning in the air, and all I did is turn my wheels a little bit, and it grabbed and it pulled me forward. And I'm like, no
Right.
big deal. I got this the skid plate that can handle it.
Yeah.
I felt better about it.
And that's what those first, we always tell everybody, they come in the shop and they're like, I bought a Jeep, what should I do to it? Well, what I would do to a Jeep when I first buy it, and what you're going to do to a Jeep when you first buy it, or anybody listening tonight's going to do, are totally different things. We always tell them, take it out, go do what you think you want to do with it, and it'll tell you. You'll find yourself, the Jeep will tell you what it wants. It'll tell you what it needs.
I can vouch for that. Like, by using it, you learn real quickly. Like the skid plate isn't something that I right away knew I needed until I got out and started using it. And then I'm like, okay, skid plate is becoming more and more important, because there was the one moment, I'll tell you, there's this moment where I was out on an ORV park and I'd hit some things and I'd bottomed out a little bit and I was cool. And I got into this one trail that I'm like, this trail looks amazing. And I went around the corner and I got into this rock garden. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, not today. Not today, you rock garden trail. I'm going to turn around, get the heck out of here, and not destroy my Jeep. But it's on my to-do list. Now that I've got my skid plate, I'm heading back to that same trail, and I'm going to shred it. So.
And that's what those first mods do for you, is you learned what you wanted. Now you got it. It gives you that confidence to go back and tackle that trail. Try that new obstacle, or go that spot that you've always heard everybody says, oh, people can't, you shouldn't go in that spot. You want to try it. It's the Jeep breeds the adventure spirit inside you to try new things.
Like I look at something just like snowmobile, very similar to snowmobiling, where you're going down the trail and you're looking at line, like you're going down the forest road and you see like, ooh, I wonder where that trail goes. Ooh, I wonder where that climb goes. And you start exploring, and then you discover really quickly.
You're doing it when you drive. You're doing it when you drive the Jeep now too, don't you? So.
Oh yeah. Well, seriously, like there's times
off to the sides.
There's times literally my GPS unit is on my dash on my phone, right? And I'm driving down a paved road on my way home, and now Google Maps is showing me, like, I look over and there's like this awesome hill, and I'm like, I wonder if there's any roads up there. And I look over and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's some forest roads up there. Edith, you in? Yep, thumbs up. And so we literally, there was one trip we turned around in the moment where we were driving home, and we still had a 2.5 hour drive home, and we went up and spent another 3 hours up in the mountain right there.
That's awesome.
That we didn't, and that's what I've found about this Jeep, is it just gives you this confidence of being able to, you can drive it around town, go to the mall, call it a mall crawler if you want to, but you can literally, without, my snowmobile, I've got to trailer it, I've got to get all my riding gear. It's a process. My Jeep, I can just get in it and drive it and pretty much go anywhere, go off-roading with it, come back down, drive it straight home. It's been a pretty cool experience.
And go to work the next day.
Yeah.
So that is one of the awesome things with them.
So enough of me babbling. Let's talk about phase 2.
So phase 2 is, you've been out wheeling, you got your winch. It may be lifting tires. Maybe your phase 2, or maybe you did, or you know,
So
whatever you
let's
did in
clarify
phase
what you
one.
mean. You said lift-in tires, and you said it so fast in my mind, I was thinking one
Oh,
thing.
sorry.
So it's a lift kit you're talking about,
Lift kit.
and
Yep.
larger
So
tires a lot of times, right?
right,
So
and that's the question I always ask somebody when they come into the shop, and they're like, "I want to lift my Jeep."
yep,
Okay, how big a tire do you want to run?
yep.
And to think of that, whenever they say, if somebody comes to the shop and they say, "I want to run 35s," I'm never going to run anything bigger than 35s. Within a couple of years, they're back and they're wanting 37s. You know, and the guy, you know, it just there's always a progression. You're always progressing farther.
35
So
becomes 37, right?
right, exactly. And
37
eventually it
becomes
becomes
38,
40.
and then 40s, right?
Yep. Yeah, you know, and when I started doing this back in, 25, 30 years ago,
Yep.
a 33 was a big tire. If you had 35s, you were a monster truck.
Yeah.
They come
And
stock
now
with
my
a T.
now my
Yeah,
Rubicon comes
yeah.
stock with 33s. That's pretty
With
awesome.
33s, and they're going to have a new version come out with 35s on it. The new
Wow.
Bronco has 35s on it. You can order it that way.
Got it.
So it's been crazy to been involved this many years with this and see the evolution come through. But back to that customer coming in, that's what we ask them. There's two things that steer that direction: is how big of tires do you want to run, and what kind of budget do you want to spend? Because
Yeah.
everybody's budget is different, and we work with so many different manufacturers. We get access to so many different manufacturers' kits. We can curtail it to whatever that person wants to spend.
Yeah.
We have the people come in and they're like, I just want to get a little bit big tire under here. I only have a little bit of money. Yeah, we can do a budget boost, which is basically a spacer in there. And when you and I talked about that for your Jeep, now that you got more weight on it, the gear on it, it's kind of sitting a little lower. Put a spacer in there. Get an inch of lift back.
Yeah.
To the guys that come in, and we do full cut everything off, put long arms on it, coil over shocks, the whole treatment to it. Front to back, we do it all. And that's what makes the Jeep stuff so fun, is everybody can do it differently to make it their own.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's kind of the cult nature behind the Jeeps, right? Is specifically Jeep. I mean, it's off-roading in general, but
Yep.
Jeep specifically, it's all about making it unique, making it custom, making it yours. It's almost, frankly, outside of just a stock showroom Jeep, it's almost impossible to find a same Jeep that's identical, right? Because there's an infinite number of bumpers, an infinite number of tires and
I
wheels.
can't even keep
and
track. I have people
yeah,
come in all the time. Hey, have you heard of such a bumper? Haven't heard of that one yet. So that's what the other thing we'll tell them a lot of times is, if you see something on the internet you like, shoot me an email with it. Bring me a picture.
yeah,
I may not be able to get you that exact bumper, but we can find you something that's good. And sometimes they bring in stuff that, it's the world we live in. Some of the stuff's not as good a quality and we'll tell them that, if you really want that bumper, we can get it, but this one's a little bit more, but it's going to last longer.
yeah.
It's just like with, gear. You can go to the farm store and buy Carhartts, or you can go buy some fly racing gear that's going to last and serve you a long time. Same
Amen,
kind of
yeah.
idea.
Yeah, no, same thing. Yep.
So yeah, that phase two is doing what you didn't do in phase one, and then the other part of phase two is, if you don't have lockers,
Okay.
if you don't have the gearing to turn the big tires, doing that too, and that's where we specialize in. And and the company that we use pretty much exclusively for gears is Yukon, which is Randy's Ring and Pinion, which is out in Washington.
Oh, nice.
Is where they're based, and using their it's good quality stuff. That's kind of what's been our bread and butter. There's not any shops around that do as many gear installs as we do.
Okay.
And to if somebody doesn't know what a locker is, basically, to quote Joe Dirt, it's posi traction.
Yeah.
You're making both wheels turn no matter what. And
when you say no matter what, let me clarify for everybody, is like what it means literally is when you're Jeeping and doing the things that we're doing, there's many times where you lift one tire off the ground, and if you don't have those lockers on, that one tire is just going to spin in the air. The old fashioned, spin your one wheel in the snow kind of thing.
Exactly, that's right where I was going. Think about being stuck in the snow.
Yeah, I'm from Minnesota originally. So, you're in Iowa, so you get it. You know what driving in snow's like. So
we know it's like.
But it's like now you have, regardless of whether tires in the air or not, like you've got full traction with all wheels all the time. You do rear lockers or all four locker. Like my Rubicon,
rear, front,
or both.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and that's what we said earlier, that you got the upgraded starter pack.
The starter pack plus.
Starter Pack Plus was it already had the lockers in it. You know, and that was something Jeep started doing. You know, back in 2003,
Yeah.
it totally changed this whole market because right from the store you could buy it with lockers.
Okay.
That was something
Sway bar. I
that's
just realized we haven't got in our notes anything about sway bars, but
sway
another
bar. Yep.
the sway bar disconnect. Like my Jeep comes
Yep.
stock with a push button electronic sway bar disconnect,
Mm-hmm.
and it's freaking amazing. And I can tell you
Yep.
there's a dramatic difference in using it or not using it. But for those who may not be aware, what's the benefit? What is a sway bar, and what's the benefit of disconnecting it? So.
The sway bar, in its intended purpose, is to keep your vehicle, your Jeep from rocking back and forth too much when you're on the road.
Yep.
Gives you stability in driving. What it hurts is when you go out on the trail, you need that axle to move more.
Yep.
It ties both sides of the axle together.
Exactly.
So if you unhook it, in your
Now
case, you have a push button, it unhooks.
Now, all of a sudden, instead of having this much play, now you can go this far, right? You know,
Right.
it's like,
Yep.
it's,
and
I've seen that happen. Literally, I've gone up on an obstacle where, like, okay, I'm going up with the sway bar on just to test it, and all of a sudden, one wheel comes off the ground 6 inches, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, back down, hit the sway bar disconnect, drive back up there, and all 4 wheels are on the ground again. Just
Right.
It gives you that amount of flex that you need. So.
And that's what everybody should do is try it both ways.
Yep.
We always say, take your Jeep out, try it.
Yeah.
And then find what you want. That sway bar, disconnect, and it can be just a simple pull a pin and take it out of the way, or if with a Rubicon you can push a button, it makes it easier.
Yep. So I'm going to pause just for a quick reminder break for everybody who's watching. If you haven't already, let us know where you're watching from, and let us know and confirm that you've subscribed. Any comments in the comments section of our live stream tonight is going to be entered in to win our Fly Racing goggles that we're going to be shipping out and giving away to our winner. And Chris, we talked earlier. You're going to throw in tonight a shirt, right? The shirt that you're wearing, something very similar to it, right?
Maybe this one. We've got a couple. I should have brought an example.
You'll wash it first. You'll wash it first, though, before you ship it out, right?
It'll be a brand new one.
A new one. That's even better. Holy smokes.
So actually, what I'll probably send out is we have a brand new one.
Okay.
It's got, everybody's into Bigfoot these days. Okay. We've got a brand new one. It's got Bigfoot carrying an American flag on it. That'll be the shirt I send out to everybody. You go to our website, you'll see it right on the front page.
That's awesome. So, all right. So don't forget to share this out. Get in the comments. If you share it out on social media, make sure you tag me in it. Anybody who's visibly sharing and or commenting in the comments, you're in to win a pair of Fly Racing goggles. So back to the regularly scheduled program, and we are now beyond phase 2, and we are going into, let's call it, the unlimited phases, right? Because from there it can get as crazy and wild. Like, you could spend more money on accessories than you spent on your original Jeep, even as a brand new Jeep, right? Easy.
You can double it, easily double it if you want.
So you could take a $50,000 Jeep and turn it into a $150,000 Jeep,
easily,
right?
Easily, depending on what you want to do. When we get into what you call it unlimited, it's opening Pandora's box. You can go any direction with it. That's where you've been wheeling for several years, and the majority of the time I spend my time in the rocks or the tight timber trails. It's so many different things you can add. That's when we get into doing. You're taking the original axles out. You're putting 1-ton truck axles under it.
Yep.
You end up with things like what's behind me here. That's probably my unlimited build, my dream build back there.
Awesome.
Not done yet. It's still hopefully it'll be done soon, but it's got some work yet. But
so as a new, and again, we don't probably have time to go into all the different options too, but it's suspension, it's reinforcement parts, it's heavier duty replacement drive shafts, like the list goes on of what you can get. And if you're looking at that and you're at that point, whether you're just starting or there, go to your local Jeep shop. And if you don't have a local Jeep shop, get a hold of Chris at Complete, right?
Complete Offroad.
Complete Offroad.
We're on the website. We got a website. You can call us on the phone. We're on Facebook.
Yep.
Like I told you the other night. I mean, my phone's beeping right now. There's probably a message coming in. Somebody's looking for something. We ship nationwide.
That's awesome.
Always happy to talk to Jeep people. Give them advice. Give them some ideas of what they're looking for parts.
And to be clear, you guys,
when you hit
you cover more than Jeeps, right? Like you got. Toyotas and everything else you can get parts for, I'm sure. Right?
Jeeps and Toyotas are probably our bread and butter because that's what's out there in the new production stuff. But we actually do everything from World War II restorations of old flat fender Jeeps, the original 1946 Jeep, all the way up to the brand new stuff. Full-size trucks. We did a full-size truck a year and a half ago that, it literally had 90 miles on it when it came in, and we threw the book at it. It was going to be a show rig for a company. anything in between. Always glad to help people out doing that stuff.
Yeah. Well, Chris, here's the final thing I want to talk about tonight. We're at already almost about close to 30 minutes here. I've
30
promised
minutes and we
everybody
barely scratched the
we've
surface,
barely scratched
honestly.
it, like I know, right? And so we'll have you on for a future episode again, and we'll go deeper into some of the
Sure.
different topics. And guys, for a future episode, if you have something specifically around off-roading or jeeping that you want to go deep into right now, would be a perfect time to drop it in the comments and let us know, and I'll capture those notes and we'll set up a future episode based on your feedback,
Definitely.
right?
Love to do
So
that.
would love to have you guys on there too. But here's the final thing I want to ask you, Chris, is like, and this weighs heavy on my mind because I bought a brand new Jeep. A lot of people buy used Jeeps, but in my case, I bought a brand new Jeep. It's under warranty, and I knew I was going to go out and kind of beat the crap out of it, and so I bought the extended warranty even, right? And
Yep.
so I've probably got a 100,000 mile warranty on my Jeep, and so now
Mhm.
what's weighing very heavy on my mind is this idea of, what can I modify without risking my warranty? Which I know you're not a warranty expert, so I'm not going to put you on the
Right.
spot there, right?
Yep.
So that's clear, but maybe high level you can reference a few things based on your experience. We won't go there yet.
Sure.
But
Yep.
here's what I really want to know is what modifications can I do that'll relatively improve my performance, but not risk my reliability, dependability, and in theory, kill my warranty, right? Of something, right? And
Okay.
so,
Sure. Yeah.
so
The,
reliability
the
versus drivability, right? Like there's this threshold
sure.
between if you
So
add more power, you're going to break more stuff. If you add more bigger
right.
wheels, you're going to have more torque and you're going to break more stuff. So where's that
Yep.
threshold that you found, that kind of that magic setup
That
that's still
that
very,
magic
very
setup
reliable?
for people is kind of like where you're at right now. Put some skid plates on it. Put a winch on it.
Yep.
The nice thing with a winch is you can go into something, and if you don't make it, you got a winch to get yourself back out.
Yeah.
The other great mod is find a wheeling buddy.
A buddy,
Have
yep,
somebody,
to pull you out.
the buddy system, of course.
Yep.
But 35-inch tires is a really good area to start in.
Yep.
And we have people come in and they got a brand new Jeep and they're like, I want a lift kit. I want 40-inch tires. Because that's what, they look cool. They look awesome. I love building those. But if you really want to go out and wheel it and get off road and go, whether it's on, 2-track dirt trails or the sand dunes or whatever, you got to find what works for you.
Yeah.
Because what works for me and way I do it isn't going to be the same for anybody else. But that 35-inch tire is enough tire to give you some clearance.
Yeah.
But not overstress your axles.
Okay.
And that's the great thing about the JL and even the JKs. That from 07 and newer, they came with some really strong axles right out of the factory. Some people say, "Oh, we get the question all the time. Oh, I've got Dana 30s. I can't do 35s." 35s is your limit for a Dana 30, really, for general wheeling.
Yeah.
As you progress and you start pushing that envelope more, that's when you start having to go to those bigger upgrades.
Yeah, and I think mine's a Dana 44 or a 40. I can't remember.
44. Yep, your 44 is
44.
front, rear, and a Rubicon.
Yep.
Which is that's kind of our shop Jeep's got Dana 44s on it. My boss Rich, he's if you ever watch Ultimate Adventure, he's been on a couple times. I think they call him Mr. Dana 44 because everybody else has got these huge axles. He's on 44s with 37s actually. They're chromoly axle. They're all built up, but he's got such a fine finesse of crawling. He can make the lighter parts. And the problem is when you get to these big axles like we talk about, the ground clearance. You lose ground clearance. So that 35 on a fairly stock rig gives you the ground clearance to get over stuff. But the skid plates are an awesome advantage. As far as void warranties, that comes down to your dealer. If you have a dealer, whether it's the one you bought it from or your local one, talk to them. They'll tell you what's going to work. And with the JLs now, Jeep's offering the lift kits right from the factory.
Yeah.
Or, right from the dealership, not the factory, but the dealership.
Yeah, I think you can get like a 2 or 2.5 inch Mopar lift kit, and it comes with all kinds of components in addition to the lift, for suspension.
And a 2.5 Mopar lift. And actually, we've bought them from the dealerships before. We got a dealer we work really closely with to get parts when we need OEM stuff. 2.5 inch lift on a JL will give you 35s, and it's still, and get a good, reliable shop to do an alignment on it.
Yep.
You'll drive it every day, no problem.
Very good, very good. Well, Chris, I know I'm at what I consider the time limit I'm going to give everybody going forward here too. And so this is the cool part is we have just scratched the surface. We got so many more cool things in the future to talk about. And so let's have everybody in the comments let us know, what do you want to hear about next time we bring Chris on? Maybe it's a few months from now, maybe it's next spring. Again, this is a year-round show, and we're going to continue to highlight snowmobiling. We're going to continue to highlight dirt biking and side-by-sides and ATVs and sand duning and mudding and monster trucks and whatever. But bottom line is,
Monster trucks and mud,
yeah,
huh?
guys like Chris know how to live life to the fullest and live large, right? It's live life to the fullest, make the most of every day, and make a difference to others. And I can't tell you, I know Chris well, and he is definitely one of those live large individuals. He's out there making the
I
most of his
try.
life. So very good, very good. So any final thoughts, Chris? Any goodbyes, thank yous, appreciation that you
Um,
want to give? If I were you, I would appreciate that amazing woman that allows you to play with all these toys all the time.
my social director and my banker for all these crazy projects.
I know, right?
You know, it, she drives a JK on 35s every day to work. So
Yep,
she's just as into the sickness as I am, and that's probably helps. But
yep,
definitely my wife Andrea. You know, we've been together for 21 years, and she's been by my side. You know, wheeling and stone building the whole time.
yep,
Um, my boss, Rich Conlon, you know, for letting me have the opportunity to work in an awesome shop and get to do something fun for a living.
yeah.
And you know, I got buddies out there. Some of them are on tonight. Usually, I'm surprised they're not here standing behind me because you know almost every night we're out here working on stuff.
Well, just
Um,
our mutual buddy Cal Taylor is here in the comments, raising
hey,
all holy
Cal.
heck. So Cal, we appreciate you
So
being here tonight. So
he's built a Jeep.
has
So
he? Oh, okay, I didn't
he
know
built a
that.
one for his mom a couple of years ago.
Maybe we
So
all need to
he's
meet
got
it.
access to a
We
Jeep.
all need to go jeeping in Utah. It sounds like you come over from Iowa, I'll come
Yeah,
down from Washington. We'll meet in Utah and go jeeping. So
to do something like that. Definitely. So, but yeah, you know, and I guess what I'd put out to everybody is, you know, you don't have to have a big rock crawler Jeep to go out and have fun.
yeah.
A
Mine is
bone stock
generally
Jeep.
mine is generally pretty darn stock, other than the skid plate and the bumper
Yep.
and the winch. And I haven't even
Yep.
pulled the winch out yet to legitimately use it to pull me off anything yet. So like, and I have
Sure.
been climbing and
So
doing some fun and crazy things more than I ever thought I would.
exactly.
And the vehicle is so capable that in my head I'm like, why would I want to lift it and put bigger wheels on it? And
Hmm.
I know I will eventually. Like my dream for this Jeep that I
Yep.
have is it's gonna be with me for the rest of my life, and it's probably gonna be on 40s with a 6-inch lift by the time I'm 60 years old, right? And the 20
I
years
can't
from now,
wait.
or 15,
Can't
20 years
wait.
from now, it'll be a big monster truck, and we'll be out doing some crazy
Sure.
stuff with it. So
So, you know, and along with take the Jeep out, find a local club,
yeah,
and get to meet some people and find somebody you know trusted and or you know I'm always available you know on any of the social media the website called the shop any of that to you know answer questions. I love talking Jeeps as much as I love talking snowmobiles. um, Go on YouTube, watch stuff on YouTube. There's lots of awesome stuff there. The only thing I always tell everybody about watching YouTube, it's just like as you know with snowmobile videos, the big crazy stuff is what gets the views, so that's what everybody shows.
yeah, yeah,
But that's just a very small percentage of what we're doing out there.
yeah.
Um,
That's
a
true.
lot of it is just hanging out with your buddies, finding your line through the trees, over rocks,
Yeah.
any of that.
Well, what I found
Um,
is there's also social media groups in your local area. There's
yep,
national ones and there's local ones. If there's an
yep.
off-road park in your area, there's probably a Facebook page or something that's for that off-road park, and just
So,
follow it and you'll meet people really quickly. Like, and sometimes you show up at an off-road park or just say you're going to an event, to a ride like that, and you just let people know like,
yep.
"Hey, I'm going to be here at this time. Anybody wants to roll together, let me
So,
know." And you'll meet people all the
you know,
time. It's very
and one
social.
of the other
So,
things that I didn't discover till a couple years ago is podcasts. You know,
oh
you
yeah.
do the live video like this. I got a couple podcasts that we support through the shop, and those guys, you know, there's some social groups that way. I've met people all across the country
Yeah.
that wheel and talk, and when I'm looking to somewhere to go, I send them a message and say, hey, I want to come this way.
Yep.
There's a ton of awesome podcasts out there that you can look up and listen to on your drive to work. So
Very good. Very good. All right,
and listen to
Chris.
John Ferry Live.
Oh
He's
yes, what used to be John Frame Live, now
what
Live
used to be
Large
John Ferry
Universe.
Live.
Live Large
Yep, Live
Universe is
Live
the new world.
Universe.
Awesome,
So
awesome. All right, everybody. Well, we appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, when this is done, get in there, share the link out to all of your social media places. Uh, Let people know this show exists, and get in here and subscribe. Encourage your friends to subscribe. And anywhere you leave a trace, whether it be through a share that I'm tagged in that I can see, whether it be a comment in the section here, the quickest, easiest way is just a comment in the comments right here that you're watching and subscribed, and you'll get in to win both a t-shirt from Chris and his shop,
yep.
as well as a pair of fly racing goggles. We got a couple of prizes going on there just for participating in the show and helping encourage everybody to be here and to have fun.
and I will see you live in person in a couple of weeks. So
Yeah, heaven help us that the government doesn't shut us all down again in the next
so
2 weeks, right?
and Cal
So
Taylor's coming to that too.
yeah,
So we'll have to get
I
together.
pray it also goes off without a hitch because the way the world's going right now, I'm not
Every
convinced. So
everything we're seeing here is they're gonna go with it.
all right,
It's
that's
a
good.
go. So
Hopefully, all right. Well, Chris, you hang on for a minute, but everybody else,
sure.
God bless you. Have an amazing day, night, wherever you're at, and don't forget to live large. Have a great night, everybody.